Hey, welcome in. Mr. Jorgens here. Going to continue in section 9.4 today on completing the square. This is going to be a part 2. There will be a couple questions for you along the way, so make sure you stay tuned. And hope you're having a good day. All right, a little review to start. Last time what we covered was a problem like this. It was called completing the square, where we tried to fill in the blank. So if we had something like x squared minus 6x plus some number, we had to figure out what that number was. And the way we did that is we took half the middle number and squared it. So you would take -6 and divide it by 2, and then square it. -6 divided by 2 is -3, and -3 squared is a +9. So +9 would be the number that fills in the blank there. All right, just to verify that you remember how to do that, go ahead and try this on your own. X squared minus 10x plus blank. So go ahead and confirm that you know how to do that by filling in the blank. It's called completing the square, and enter your answer when you're ready. Yeah, so -10, we divide that by 2, we get -5, and -5 squared is a +25. So we put a +25 on the blank there. All right, let's take a look at our first example here. Whoops, I called this example 2, but the first one was really a review problem. So example 1. X squared minus 16x equals -15. Now, you should notice the difference between this problem that we're going to solve by completing the square is it's an equation, right? There's stuff on both sides of the equal sign. Whereas in our review problem, it was just an expression. We were just filling in the blank. So today we're going to work on equations like this, and our method for solving them is called completing the square, and we're going to fill in the blank in order to do that. Now, when you see something like this where you have x squared and then something with x, like an even number usually is when it works best, and then a number on the other side, what we can do is we can set up completing the square by opening up that blank. So I know I can complete the square on this if I put a plus blank on the left side, but since it's an equation, in order to keep things balanced, I'm going to have to add whatever goes on that blank onto both sides. So if I'm adding a blank onto the left, I also have to add it onto the right. Now, in order to figure out what goes on that blank here, I have to take my middle number, which is -16, and then I'm going to divide it by 2 and then square it. So -16 divided by 2 is -8, and -8 squared is a +64. So I'm adding 64 onto both sides. And on the right side then, -15 plus 64 is going to make 49. Now, the kind of trick, the new step today is on the left side, how do I rewrite this as a completed square? Now, what I have here is I essentially created a box where I have an x squared, which is x by x. I have some -8x's, right? -8x and -8x. And I have that 64 down here. So really what this is, and it's a little bit visually weird because we have a negative, but we really have -8 times x. So like to get into this box here, I'm doing -8 times x. And so similarly with the other parts, right? So I can really rewrite this as x minus 8 times x minus 8, or x minus 8 squared. And so we're left with x minus 8 squared equals 49. And this is an equation we're going to be able to solve. I have to undo the squared and I have to undo the -8. So in terms of PEMDAS, I'm going to start by undoing the squared part because the squared is in the exponent, and then we're going to undo the parentheses, which is the -8 after that. So I can undo the squared part by taking a square root of both sides. And the interesting thing is what can go on the inside there, like 7 squared would make 49, and -7 squared would make 49. So on the inside there, when I take the square root of 49, it could be the positive or negative version of that. It could be positive 7 or negative 7. And on the left, the square and square root are inverses that cancel. So I'm kind of left with two options here. I could either have x minus 8 equal to 7, or I could have x minus 8 equal to negative 7. Both ways I'm going to add that 8 over, and I get x equals 15. This side, add that 8 over, and I get x equals a positive 1. All right, so that's going to be the process for how we're going to go through these questions for today. A little bit complicated. It's called completing the square. I'm going to try another example for you in a second here. All right, here we go. We're going to try example 2 now. So for this one, x squared plus 18x equals negative 17. Now our process here is we're going to set it up to complete the square, which means I'm going to say x squared plus 18x plus blank on the left is equal to negative 17 plus blank on the right. To fill in that blank, I'm taking half 18 and squaring it. Go ahead and tell me what number would fill in the blank there, and enter your answer when you're ready. Yeah, good. So 81. I'm taking half of 18, which is 9, and 9 squared is 81. All right. So what we're kind of left with here is we're left with, on the right-hand side, negative 17 plus 81 makes 64. And on the left, I can rewrite this if I'm completing the square. I have my x squared, which is x by x. And my 18, I would split 9 and 9 for that 81 in the bottom. So I'd have a plus 9 times a plus 9 to make 81. So I have x plus 9 squared, x plus 9 times x plus 9. So I could rewrite that as x plus 9 squared. And that right there is really our new step today, being able to go from here to here. So that's kind of our new step. Now that I have x plus 9 squared, I can go ahead and take a square root of both sides. And again, both 8 squared and negative 8 squared is equal to 64. So I'm going to know that x plus 9 part on the inside could either be 8 or it could be negative 8, right? So by taking a square root of both sides, I have to put a plus or minus on the number here. Square and square root inverse, so I'm just left with x plus 9 equals either positive or negative 8. So our first mini equation, x plus 9 equals 8. Go ahead and solve that out for x and enter your answer when you're ready. Yeah, so I'm subtracting 9, x equals negative 1. Then we have our second mini equation, which is x plus 9 equals negative 8. So again, we have to solve this out for x by subtracting 9. So go ahead and subtract 9 from both sides and enter your answer when you're ready. So minus 9, I get x equals negative 8 minus 9 is negative 17. So negative 1 and negative 17 would be our answers here. All right, a third example for us to look at here is x squared plus 4x minus 21 equals 0. And this is a little bit different because I don't have that number on the other side. So if I don't have that number on the other side, I don't have a spot for my plus blank. So I'm going to move my 21 actually over to the right in order to clear a spot for the blank. So I'm left with x squared plus 4x on the left and 21 on the right. And what that does is it leaves me a spot to complete the square. So x squared plus 4x plus blank, I need to figure out what number is going to complete the square there. So go ahead and figure out what number would go on that line, half of 4 squared, and enter your answer when you're ready. Yeah, it'd be 4, right? Half of 4 is 2. And 2 squared is 4. On the right side here, 21 plus 4 makes 25. And on the left side, x squared plus 4x plus 4, we'd have x squared. We'd have 2x and 2x, splitting the 4x in half. And then 2 by 2 making 4 down in the bottom corner. So I'd have x by x for x squared, and 2 by 2 for 4, and then the 2 x's in that diagonal. So that would leave me with x plus 2 squared. You can go ahead and take a square root of both sides. And again, it could be positive or negative because 5 squared is 25 and negative 5 squared is 25. So we left with that. Square root of x plus 2 squared, square root and square are inverses. I'm just left with x plus 2. And then positive or negative square root of 25. Square root of 25 is 5, so positive or negative 5. And then I can set up my two equations to solve from there. So I have x plus 2 equals 5, and x plus 2 equals negative 5. You can subtract 2 off of both sides. You get x equals 3. Subtract 2 off of both sides. You get x equals negative 7. All right, so hopefully that sets us up being able to complete the square. You should be able to try the big ideas problems at this point. Hope you have a good day.